Good morning. Thank you for joining today's workshop, Envisioning a Transformed Clinical Trials Enterprise for 2030. My name is Esther KROFAH. I serve as Executive Director at FasterCures, a center of the Milken Institute, and pleased to serve as co-chair for this workshop. This workshop is convened by a standing body at the National Academy of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine, the Forum on Drug Discovery, Development, and Translation. The forum offers an ongoing neutral venue for stakeholders from across government, academia, industry, foundations, consumer, and patient groups to discuss and confront issues of mutual interest and concern. Through workshops and other activities, the forum brings together thought leaders to focus public attention on critical areas and foster collaborative activity to understand and address these issues. In accordance with National Academies procedures, an independent planning committee organized this workshop. Please note that there is a slide in the rotating presentation that lists the planning committee membership, and bios for the planning committee can be found in the briefing book on the workshop webpage. I'd like to thank the forum for their leadership and support, and especially the planning committee for their vision and efforts to put this workshop together. While this is a standalone workshop and it's not part of an ongoing consensus study by the National Academies, it is a starting off point for future activities related to the clinical trials enterprise. A summary of the presentations and discussions made during this workshop will be prepared by a rapporteur and will reflect what transpired at this workshop. It will be prepared in accordance with institutional policy and made broadly available to the public. All views presented in the summary will be those of workshop participants and attendees. It will not contain findings or recommendations by the planning committee. The summary will be made more broadly available to the community. For those in the Zoom meeting, please remember to keep your cameras off and your microphones muted unless we are in the breakout rooms. If you have a comment or question outside the breakout rooms, we invite you to enter them directly into the Zoom chat box. For webcast attendees, the window is available. Please note that if you're watching this in webcast in full screen, the Q&A box will not be apparent. However, everyone can share their thoughts and their comments in the materials or just introduce themselves in the Slack workspace dedicated to this workshop called Clinical Trials _2030. If you're new to Slack, it is an online discussion forum to ask questions and exchange ideas. You can find links to join Slack and instructions in the quick guide posted on the workshop website or in the announcements by the Q&A box. There are also hashtags for this work, hashtag clinical trials and hashtag drug forum. We highly encourage viewers to share their insights and observations about the workshop on social media using these hashtags. However, please note that only comments submitted either to the Q&A box or via Slack can be incorporated into the summary of the workshop. With that, I'll offer some backdrop comments. This workshop, of course, comes at a critical time in our country. Over 400,000 Americans have died as a result of COVID-19, and over 25 million have been affected. We have witnessed a tremendous response from medical research community in accelerating the development of therapeutics and vaccines, including 2 vaccines currently authorized in the US. This was the result of many thousands that participated in the clinical trials process that led to clear evidence of safety and efficacy. However, we also note the disruption of the clinical trials enterprise for many ongoing studies for a broad range of disease conditions. In some cases, enrollment in new trials have been halted, and in other cases, protocols for existing trials have changed. At FasterCures, we frequently say that time equals lives. It is clear that we have an urgent need now more than ever to advance a clinical trials enterprise that is more efficient, effective, person-centered, inclusive, and integrated into the health delivery system. After many months of planning, we are delighted that we can start these conversations today. And thank you once again for joining us. With that, let me turn it over to Stephen GALSON.
Thank you, Esther.
All right, welcome, Stephen.
Thank you. Great comments to start us off. And I want to just tell everyone what a pleasure it is to be here with the hundreds of people that are part of this webcast. And I want to start by thanking the planning committee members, we've been working for more than a year. We started before the pandemic began. And as Esther just noted, the happenings of the last year have only reinforced the perfect timing for this series of workshops. We hoped to do it in person. This will provide some advantages over the in-person format, and we look forward to as many active participants as possible. So let me start with a few additional logistics. We're going to have breaks at 30 minutes beginning at 12:10 and another at 30 minutes at 2 p.m. following session 2. The workshop is being transcribed as an aid in writing a summary. The transcription itself is not going to be publicly available after the workshop, but staff will use it to aid in writing the proceedings. Friendly reminder, audience members asking questions or providing comments, enter your thoughts directly into the Q&A box under the webcast video window or in Slack at clinicaltrials2030.slack.com. There may be a slight lag, which can be disconcerting when you're talking because of the virtual format. Video recordings and slides from today's workshop will be posted on the workshop website within 1 week of the workshop. Throughout the day, we're going to just introduce people using affiliation and title before each section. The detailed bios are in the briefing book. I want to just tell you a little bit about the planning process, in particular, how the planning committee got together and talked about what was important to cover. We used the following 4 items to characterize a 2030 enterprise that improves outcomes and experiences for all stakeholders. One, that such an activity would actually be an enterprise with coordinated efforts. We know today that's actually not the fact. Number 2, that clinical trials enterprise would engender trust with participants. Number 3, that we would efficiently generate and use data. And 4, we would reduce cost, time, and inefficiency in the system. So while we were planning these workshops, while we were talking about breakout groups and speakers, those were the 4 things we were thinking about that we really wanted to focus on highlighting and addressing potential solutions during this series. And again, this is the first of 4 different webcasts, web seminars, with the remaining meetings to be held on February 9th, March 24th, and May 11th to dive into the topics raised more specifically. So I think with that, let's go ahead and start. And I want to introduce Dr. Terence King to give his vision for building a more person-centered and inclusive clinical trial enterprise by 2030. He's the former director of the Office of Minority Health at the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. And again, see the briefing book for his detailed, impressive bio. Dr. King?